Ready? All right. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here today. Coming off this weekend, I know at the post-game press conference, I know you talked to coordinators, but just frustrated, disappointed. Unfortunate outcome. Coming out of that game and just the expectation going in. Going back and watching the film, there was plenty of opportunities. We had a lot of missed opportunities in that game. I thought there was defensively. I thought there was hesitation at times. I know we talked about it after the game, just with at moments communication, eyes, and then there was just times where I thought guys played a little hesitant of whether it was the thought of not missing or just not trying to have a negative play in the moment where we just weren't as fast and reactive as what I've seen us play and the level I've seen us play. Obviously their quarterback did a good job of extending plays. We have to clean up. We have to continue to clean up things when in regards to our rush lanes. Be able to create pressure. That was obviously a big part of the game the other day that allowed for drives to extend and for big plays to occur. So we came back yesterday with the focus defensively of getting back to going out, playing fast, communicating fast, and all things that we do. I mean, we need to be the aggressor, and I thought that there was too many slow reactions and hesitation when it comes to that, and some of that when you see guys in position, they have an opportunity to go make the play. We need to go make the play. When there's times that there's too much communication, that's going on. Well, that's something that as coaches, we can be better at, and making sure that guys have a full understanding and can go cut it loose and play and react. So, offensively, I thought it was a good defense that we went against, and one that was aggressive and attacking. I thought we were able to establish some things on the ground. There were some good moments there. I thought we were able to create some explosive plays. There's a few drives that we've got to be better. And ultimately there's we got some injuries that showed up throughout the course of the game that really kind of tested our depth a little bit, and we've got to overcome those things, and some guys that you got in the game, you need to continue to progress to be ready for those opportunities, and obviously we did have the turnover there in the second half, which was big, and something that I've hit on and harped on of having to get corrected, and we need to get we have to, that has to occur, with those opportunities, and giving somebody a short field and losing a possession. I mean, when you look at the turnover, and then there was a couple penalties that really affected us there offensively, and we've got to clean that up, and but I thought for the most part, I mean, there was some good plays that were had, and obviously some things we can continue to build on. I thought Mekhi Danzy showed up and was extraordinary there the other day, and he's kind of had he's shown some great flashes. He's had some disappointing moments, but really liked what I'm seeing from him and his continued growth within the offense and the things that he's showing the capability to do. So we'll build upon that, and then just big picture as a team, we just we've got to jump up, and we got to go sprint forward, and it's anytime you have a stretch of games that with losses or disappointing outcomes. I mean, it's you got to start with myself. Look in the mirror and you evaluate where are the things that are costing us in these. Where are those consistent things that have shown up, and then in some areas it's a different issue, and things that we've got to make sure that when those moments when they show up throughout the course of the contest, that we're putting ourselves in the best position to be successful. That the identity of what we work towards and what we do, and those key objectives that we know we have to accomplish. I mean, that's got to show up. And unfortunately, with 3 straight losses, in conference, that all come down to ultimately 1 possession on the scoreboard. And we've done enough things to earn those losses, and I don't feel as if this is a team that at any point has pulled back or not made the investments to prepare or to be ready. But we have to, as players, coaches, everybody, we got to apply that in the game, and it's got to show up to being victorious with in those challenging times, and those games are going to come down to a play here or there. We've got to go make them, and I know that this is a team that's we're pissed off for where we are, and what we've done, and the only people that can go fix it are us. And for all the things that anything that's going on beyond this building, or anything that's going on that's outside of our control, we can't worry about that. We got to focus on the job that's at hand, and our focus, and just going to get better, so that come Saturday night, 7:30 Pacific time, we will be ready to go and play our best game. And I have a great deal of confidence that that's what's going to occur, and that's what we're going to do. But we got to go get it done.
First question will be Ira.
You guys had a couple chances in this game, and then also in the Virginia game, where you have a lead in the ball and don't get anything out of the possessions. I know that players have to make plays, but are there things you guys can do to help them in those situations to get that score?
Yeah, it's I think Gus does a great job in how he sequences your thoughts throughout the course of the game, of trying to understand what to expect, what might show up, and there's I think everybody, there's times that whether it's a call, whether it's it's a decision, something that we expected somebody to do, and at times it doesn't happen. But I think that the opportunities and the calls, I like and understand all parts of the sequencing of it, and it's but there's times that guys will make a play, and sometimes the defense will have a good call against a certain look, but we want to put our guys in the best position, and ultimately there's some drives that's not going to, that things don't go exactly like you want, but for us, owning the football, for us, being able to try to play ahead of the chains, and then obviously being aggressive in our mindset, those things are those are critical. And I think when you look offensively, big picture, I think we've done a really good job of that throughout the course of the year. But in some of these games where it's back and forth, and we've played against a couple of high-scoring offenses, particularly Virginia and Pitt, and when you're in those type of games, every possession does matter, and we got to create the stops defensively. We got to take advantage of possessions offensively, and so yes, there's things that we could continue to build upon, but I think Gus has done a really good job, and I think we've utilized our players, but we have had a couple of those second half possessions that we've come up short, and we've got to continue to improve there.
Come over here for Brendan.
You mentioned the ball security issues with 3 games with 3 fumbles, different running backs too. I guess, is it something, I know you guys coach it, is it something that's not translating over to what's being coached? Is it? Yeah,
it's not good enough, and there's that's probably one of the more disappointing things, just because there's a year-long expectation of that emphasis, and you can point to it, you can talk about it, you can even rep it, but if it's not showing up in the game, then that's on us. And you mentioned there's 3 different running backs. We've had a couple receivers put the ball on the ground, whether they turned into turnovers or not. Quarterback, we have to be better there, and we're gonna, if what we're emphasizing, how we're emphasizing is not getting across, then we need to look at new ways of getting that point through, because it is costing us, and it's cost us in critical situations. And so yes, there is a we're evaluating all reasons why, and there are some things that we'll continue to address in different ways this week to make sure that come Saturday night that issue gets fixed.
Chris, thank
You mentioned communication in your opening. Are you talking about communication in the sense of getting sub packages incorrectly, or player communication, or both?
Both. And I mean, that's, you know, there were a few instances where, you know, we got to be better as coaches, you know, and you know, making sure that, you know, that the urgency, the urgency of calls, the urgency of personnel groups, the urgency of getting guys, you know, where they need to be in those situations. You know, we had a couple of those instances that showed up on Saturday, and you know, that can't happen. And it's just those are things that you know, we've got to be better at. And you know, and then there's times that on the field where you see, you know, players, I say this, over, you know, being hesitant with it, you know, with their I say hesitant, being delayed in their alignments, or you know, their on snap you know, footwork or keys because of an extra communication. That's so that either it's not clear enough on the field, or it's something that if there's a slight bit of confusion, that has to, you know, that's on both. I mean, that's players, coaches. I mean, that's where we have to be able to look at that, and you know, be able to be cleaner. I mean, the players have a responsibility of you know, the execution of that sometimes. You know, if they're not correct in you know, the trigger or the thought or what needs to be done in a certain situation, you know, that's something that, you know, we've got to get addressed through the week, and they've got to own, so that in the game we can get out there and play as fast as we need to be. And so those are things that I'm looking at and saying, you know, because you have to answer the question, why? Why is that occurring? Is that, you know, too much information? Is that, you know, maybe an area where our eyes need to be better in what we, in translating what we're seeing, or what we need to be able to communicate with the guy to the left or the right, just so that you eliminate any of that doubt or any of that hesitation, or when we're able to play as fast as we possibly can.
Liam?
Almost a follow-up to that part. Tony yesterday said that he thinks the guys are thinking too damn much is what he said. He thinks that he needs to kind of tone it back and scale it back a little bit. Is that something you agree with? And how do you kind of do that while still playing the defense that you want to play, while kind of getting the guys a little more focused on what they need to do?
Well, I mean, we want fast and physical, and you know, for guys to be able to, you know, when you go against offenses that you know, can present a lot of different options. And I mean, you know, obviously there was Pitt did a good job, you know, there on Saturday of, you know, utilizing, you know, the running back in the passing game, utilizing a lot of different formations, you know, things that you know, that we've seen, and at times this year have done a great job of, you know, of you know, being able to have that balance, because you can't just sit there and be stationary. That's not the world of you know, in just what offensive football is now. I mean, you got to be able to show different looks. You got to make sure that that we're accounting and being able to adjust to things that can show up in a game, but also you know, you want guys to be able to go out there and, you know, to put, you know, all their talent on display, you know, and to be confident in the position they're supposed to be, whether it's coverage, leverages, you know, where they're supposed to be fitting in the schemes, and you know, if it's a pressure, then you know, where it needs to hit. And so yeah, I think that's something that, you know, we all, you know, as coaches, offensively, defensively, if you feel that there is, you know, not the immediate reaction, and there is hesitation with different looks or different things that their guys are being asked to do, then, you know, there's times you got to tone it down and be complex in presentation, but maybe more, you know, I say simplistic, but you know, in what all you're asking a player to have to accomplish within the course of a certain game.
Brendan?
It might be kind of related to that, but some of the recent weeks, linebackers being isolated in coverage a few times, and it's been costly. Are they physically capable of what you guys are asking them to do, or is you got to scale back? I guess, how do you avoid those things happening?
Yeah, I mean, there's
space for coverage.
You know, there's you know, you're aware of all matchups and where, you know, where challenges can present themselves, and you try to minimize those times of that exposure, while also, you know, other things that you're trying to accomplish, you know, within different looks. And so yeah, I think that, you know, that's where, you know, you gotta have a plan to put your guys in the best position to be successful. And you at times we've been able to do that at a very high level, and then, we have had times where we've gotten, beat in certain situations due to, maybe a matchup, and certain times that, there's also, some player responsibility of leverage and alignment and things that they can do to, of what's being, asked of them. And so, it all works together. And, there's times where you understand where the weakness of a call is. And this is in every phase, that there might be, it's not always a good answer, but it can be a best answer, and you know where the weakness of vulnerability is, and to be able to have a rally around that. And so, that's where you kind of, you have to work to be able to, be able to attack in a variety of ways, but also understand some of the areas where you could be susceptible, and try to clean that up and get that fixed.
Go over to Corey.
You're a guy that obviously puts a lot of internal pressure on yourself. Do you feel external pressure?
I think the external is for my desire for this program. And so it's not, anything, and I care about every past player that has come before, the past coaches, what it is to be a Florida State Seminole, the expectations of this program. There's nobody, and I can stand for, there's nobody that wants it more than I want it, right? And I will, with everything that I have. So the internal is there, but it's also because of who. It's because of what that I get to represent. I mean, being the head coach here, I want it all. I want this program to be seen, celebrated, I want us to win every damn game, every day. I want all that we do, how we represent it in within the community, within, just the development of these student athletes. But it's like that external, I mean, I want that too, because I don't want to be at a place where there's not expectation, where there's not pride, where there's not people that I care about, that I want them to have the joy for what this program, means. And so, that's the external I feel. People, all the different opinions, that doesn't do anything to me. Like what I care about is I know when it's good enough, and I know when it's not. And there's times that, hey, you put everything you have out there, and there's a time you get knocked down. Hey, man, I can, if it's best on best, and we come up a little short, then I can live with that. If there's times where I know that we absolutely should have, could have, need to be better in whatever part of it, then that's what weighs on me, and that's what we have to get. That's what we have to get fixed. That's what we have to improve upon. But I don't get caught up in the outside messaging. I care about. I mean, I know what this program means. I know what it stands for, and I know my responsibility in that. And so that's where I put the pressure on myself and everybody within this program for us to show up and for it to look a certain way.
Ira.
With all the injuries you had in offense in the second half, I mean, it seemed like you went most of the second half never throwing. I mean, just running the ball. And then Tommy's also was banged up. Gus said. What's the prognosis on having some of those guys back more available, and how challenging is it to call an offense when you're that limited?
Well, I mean, when you have, we got down to, I think it was, 6 or 7 key guys that have played for us. Whether I think we're down 4 receivers, and of course the game. Obviously Randy wasn't able to go. Obviously Mike up front. I mean, when you get into the depth of that, I mean that's it's going to change certain things, and it's still about trying to put our guys in the best position to be successful. You saw guys that Mackay rose up, did some good things. You saw Landon Thomas had a big play in the course of the game. But it's still about being able to mix and match how we're presenting things, and that's where it gets a little bit tough when you're already into the depth, and then you have additional injuries of all that you can do. But I thought that was one of the things coming out of it is that, man, hey, some guys that got opportunities, and they need to take a step. They need to show that they're ready and capable of a bigger load that's put on them, because I mean it's what we need. And there was there were some good plays, and we were able to throw the ball, at some certain situations, there on in the second half, but there was also some missed opportunities with whether it was a communication, a guy knowing what he's supposed to do, or being in the exact right spot of where he's supposed to be. That challenges everything, and I think that as we continue to progress throughout the season, and for those young guys to continue to work and emerge, I do have confidence in what they can be. But there's no doubt that was a difficult circumstance to have to work through there in the second half.
Aslan?
After the last game of last season, you said that this was going to be an immediate, quick fix. And through the first month of the season, it seemed like you were prophetic about it. But the last 3 games, state championship, conference championship, national championship, is kind of off the table. Is there enough time in the next 6 weeks to show that this can be a quick, immediate fix?
Absolutely. And it starts this week. It starts with this game that's in front of us. We've lost, the last 3 games, by one possession, there on the scoreboard, and I think there's plenty of opportunities for us to be successful. Now, we didn't get the job done, but it comes down to all of us, being able to take the steps necessary to go win. And I'm still, like I said a week ago, I love coaching this team, and that hasn't changed. I see. This group of who they are, what they can do. There's going to be good and bad moments, but I've continually watched them fight. I've continually watched them work and pour into each other. But we got a game on Saturday, and my expectation is for it to be the best game that we've played throughout the course of this season. And when you go and do that, I've got a lot of confidence in what we can do. On the road, conference opponent, all those things. But that's what has to show up, and that shows up, and we'll build from there, and we'll be able to go and do all things that I think this team is capable of. I've been in this situation before. It's very similar, track in 22, and you start off. And there probably wasn't a whole lot of big expectations for us in that year. I don't know how many big expectations we had in front of us this year coming in. And you had a big win early. Beat LSU for all those things, and started off this season beating Alabama. We went through a stretch there where we had a couple close losses that we had opportunities to win. And this year, same. I don't like it. It doesn't make me happy. In any regards, but it's when you play good people, which the last 3 opponents are all very capable of football teams, and if we don't play the level that we're capable of, you're gonna get beat, and we got beat, and so it's about us fixing it. It's about us getting better. But I believe in the potential of this team. We've shown what we can do. We've got to do that this Saturday, and if we'll do that, then we'll build upon that for the rest of this year, and I know what that can equal to as well. So every person in this building is fighting for that improvement and fighting for the result that we need and that we desire.
Peter?
Coach, we saw 2 no players went down in the Pitt game with what's the status of with Deuce Robinson and Mike Becker on Stephon Thompson?
So Stephon will. I'll share it now. He'll be out this week. He's hopeful not going to be too extended amount of period of time, but he will be out this week. Hopefully with the bye week and a little bit of time after that, we'll be able to get him back sooner rather than later. But Deuce, coming off the game, it was unfortunate that he went down. But you do think that there is a good chance this week. We'll see how it progresses. Obviously, I'll have the availability update, Thursday night at like what time? 11 p.m. Is that what time y'all are going to get that? It's be awesome. But no, I do feel we'll see how it progresses with Deuce and where that goes. But he was moving around yesterday, and we'll kind of see where how he goes with practice tomorrow and Wednesday to see what his availability will be.
Chris?
I know you believe in this team, the fight they have, their consistency. So I'm not going to ask if you're worried about them quitting. What I am gonna ask is, does pressure become too much at some point for them and for you when things are piling up?
Pressure does not, I mean, I can answer for myself, hell no. It doesn't, that, you know, I've been through it, I've been through enough through my days that, you know, I've seen a lot. And, you know, there's, I love being at a place that there is pressure, and I love being around, you know, people that, you know, embrace the opportunity. And I tell guys in recruiting, I tell guys we, you know, when you're a coach that comes to work here, like if you can't embrace expectation, and you know when it doesn't look right, when it doesn't go right, look, I mean I want that for, once again, you know, to Corey's question, like for who we represent, like that's everything to me when it comes to this football team and these players and the work that they put in and their careers and all of it. So you know, that's going to be life, and you're going to have tough and challenging situations that show up, and what you do in those moments, how you respond in those situations. I mean, that's going to define you know where your future goes. And you know, I think that we have the right guys in watching them, but you know, also realize that these guys are 18, 22 years old, and you'll see teams. You know, we've been one of them over the last couple of years in college football, that there's been times where you get caught up, you get distracted, you get, you know, even with all the want to and the desire that, you know, you see guys that hesitate or caught up and try not to mess up, and you know they're not putting you know their best out there because of, you know, the fear of failure or the fear of, you know, being of judgment. And you know with social media and all the things that are out there, I mean it's not hard to get judged, and you know sometimes, you know, somebody has to work through how to manage that. And you know these guys are on a great they have a great stage and a great platform of what they get to show themselves, you know, with and who they are and their skills and talents. But I mean, you know, that also comes with a lot of responsibility. And you know, for them to, that's, as a coach, you try to help guide them through all experiences. And you know, that's what that's what also makes it that much more rewarding when you're able to overcome. And I mean, I remember, I know we've talked about a lot, like I think back to Jordan Travis's story of just, you know, the pressure of, you know, being a starting quarterback at Florida State, and at times when it doesn't go well, and you know what that can look like and what that can feel like. But then, you know, for all the pressure that was experienced at the front end, what that was able to mean to him, you know, on that journey when he was able to overcome it, when he was able to have the success. I mean, it just you know, he'll be able to be a lifetime example for so many people because of just his resilience throughout it. So no, I don't. That's a long answer to no. I don't think the pressure is going to be too much.
All right, we got time for a couple more. Brendan?
On Saturday, there was, I guess, a heated conversation with Coach Knighton that fans saw. I'm not asking for specifics on that, but how do you go about trying to uphold a standard if you're not seeing it from a coach? Is that something you talk about afterwards?
Oh, there's I mean, there's you know, there's a lot of passion and you know that goes into the job that we have, and I've got it, and you know I want our coaches to have it, and that's but there's times that, you know, if something's not to the standard of what is expected, you know, that, you know, I'm not gonna just sit back and, you know, it needs to look a certain way, be a certain way. Sometimes it can be on you, sometimes it can be on somebody else. But I mean, that's, you know, we're in the moment, and you know we're gonna move forward, and it's gonna be, you know, the way that this program deserves it to be. And you know, so those things happen from time to time. And you know, T. Knight is an incredible coach. He's a great man. He does a wonderful job with those players. And you know, we've had a good conversation, and you know, I'm excited for what's ahead for him, for that D-line room, and the things that we're gonna be able to accomplish.
Last one, Corey.
Just pure curiosity, your team is used to getting up at 6:30 in the morning, I think, East Coast time, and practicing at 8. For a game that's now gonna be at 10:30 their time, how do you adjust to the body clock?
Yeah, there's a Yeah, there's been a lot of thought of how, what do you do throughout the course of the week? We practice, different times, and I mean, when you're dealing with 104, players of trying to work through, some of the logistical things that didn't quite, fit for us, this week. But there will be part of the dynamic. We're going to leave on Friday. Partly, knowing that at least it was going to be a late game, a little bit earlier, in the year, actually helped us to be able to make those plans. Initially, if it was going to be an earlier game, we were going to leave. We're going to leave on Thursday night, but because of the late game, I really don't want guys going out there Thursday, sitting around the hotel all day, Friday and Saturday. So I think we've got a great plan. You've done a lot of research and some conversation with guys that have played, East Coast to West Coast, played late game, played primetime games, just different things that they would do even in the course of the travel when they got there. We're going to keep the guys up, there. On Friday night a little bit later with our meetings that we do, just to kind of hope it adjusts. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's the circumstances that surround the game, and we got to put ourselves in the best position to acclimate. But when that thing's teed up, it's time to go play. And we're gonna I think we got a good plan from all the things that we've done. But once it's teed up, I mean, if it's not all ideal and perfect for what you want, I mean, go fix it with your play, and you'll be able to control the things that we can't control. But now at the new age of college football, I mean, this is, I guess, the new normal. I mean, you're going to see these type of games, flying across the country, and whatever time slot, we don't get a big say in that. So it's just all part of it.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.